Cincinnati Stadium here at the Palazzo Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. And welcome back to another episode of Get Sharp. Chuck, we have officially made it to the playoffs. 17 weeks of videos. Great to have you back after the holiday.
Good to be back. Thanks, Joe. Happy New Year to you. It's
Happy
good
New
to be
Year.
on again.
It's great to have you back, and we're going to start today with the first game. You get the first crack of the playoff season. 9-7 Cincinnati, 10-6 Houston. Probably not the most marquee of matchups of the four this weekend, but certainly a game with a lot of storylines that we're going to be able to talk about today. 3-point spread that we've seen move to Houston a little bit in their favor. They're about a 4-point spread right now. These two teams met back in the middle of December. Houston comes back to win 20-19 in a big win that clinches a playoff spot for them. What's Cincinnati going to have to do differently to get different results this time around?
Well, Houston wins that game with 2 seconds left. Yates to Walter with 2 seconds left to win that game. And coincidentally enough, that was the last touchdown pass that Yates has thrown. They're 0-3 since then. He's been a little bit banged up, but I think you look at the Texans overall, and they've gotten healthy. You look at both Tate and Foster, they're healthy. Yates is going to be okay in this game. Johnson's back. But I think the key is Wade Phillips is back. He's there to solidify that defense. The Bengals, the youngest team in the NFL, a Cinderella story. Back then, you look at Dalton and Green, two talented young kids. But I think this is going to be somewhat of a defensive struggle. But I think the key here is going to be Foster and Tate. Look, for a lot of those guys, I think they dominate. Yates is just going to have to manage the game to win this one.
How big is home field advantage in a situation like this?
I think it's big because the Texans' first postseason game in their history. It's a tough place to play. It's going to be rocking in that stadium, and I think it's a huge advantage for the Texans in this one. I know they've lost 3 in a row, but they had clinched early. They had clinched a spot early. They knew they were in. They were trying to get healthy for this. They have that one home game. I think it's big for that young team.
You alluded to this twice now. Let's get into it a little bit. A 3-game losing streak, and certainly not against the most impressive teams in the league. Indianapolis, Carolina, losing.
Tennessee in the last game of the season.
Fighting Tennessee off a little bit in Week 17, but not coming through. If you're someone that supports Houston, if you're going to be on Houston this weekend, is that a big concern? Or now that we're in the postseason, is it just one of those, hey, we're in, let's push that to the side, it's a whole new season?
I think it's a little bit of a concern, but again, they had a lot of injury problems. They played without Wade Phillips. They knew that they were going to be in. So I think they got some of their guys healthy, and having Johnson back, having Yates back, and of course Phillips, again, to me is the key. He's that intangible that has brought that defense. I mean, they're number 1 in the NFL. So I think it's big. They're at home. It's a young Bengal team that can score some points, but they're 0-6 against teams with winning records. I think it's going to be a lot to ask for. I think it is a close game. I think Houston pulls away late. I like Houston minus the points at home. I think the defense and Wade Phillips is the key.
Wade Phillips, probably your assistant coach of the year with what he's done turning that defense around. When we talk about the total in this one low, about 38.5, obviously the sign there is it's going to be a low-scoring game. Do you see the defenses playing to that? You talked about it earlier, a lot of running out of the Houston Texans. Cincinnati's probably going to try to get a Cedric Benson involved as well. Do we see this being a low-scoring game?
Well, I think it's two young teams, so I don't think they both come out of the gate throwing the ball. You look at Dalton, he's young. Yates is coming back off the injury, he's young. Neither team's going to want to make that mistake that changes the outcome of the game, so I think it's a little bit more conservative because they're young teams. Both teams can run. Even though Benson hasn't had a huge year, he's still a good back that can run. Cincinnati can maybe control the clock a little bit with short passes, but I think it's going to be all Tate and Foster look to control the clock. I think this game does stay under.
Shame it's not still fantasy season throwing that in.
Fantasy playoffs, Joe. You can still get involved.
You're the man. Chuck
Thanks,
Esposito,
buddy.
Thank you very much. Everyone enjoy the game. Chuck is going to be back to preview Sunday night's game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos, but for now, have fun, enjoy it. The playoffs are here. We'll see you next time.